Hey y'all, and welcome back to the World History Project. I'm Wood Boyles, and your question today is, what do you think the world will look like in 2050? How will it be more similar or more different than today? And will life in 2050 be better or worse? One way we might be able to make some predictions is by looking at some data. Say data or data. Anyway, today I'm going to give you a short test and see how you do. The first question is, over the past 20 years, has the proportion of the world's population living in extreme poverty A, doubled, B, stayed the same, or C, been cut in half? Well, the answer is actually C. The number of people in poverty hasn't changed much, but because there are more people in the world today, the proportion has actually gone down. Here's another question. Over the last 100 years, has the number of deaths per year from natural disaster A, more than doubled, B, remained the same, or C, decreased to less than half? My favorite thing about living in North Carolina is the sweet tea. Again, the answer is C. When I was in high school, if we didn't know the answer, you just chose C. If you've been doing that so far, you got a pretty good score. But today, in the news, we hear a lot about people dying from floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and even disease. But even with the current COVID-19 pandemic, the number of people who die from these natural disasters is actually a lot lower than it used to be. Now for the last question. Global climate experts believe that over the next 100 years, the average temperature will A, get much hotter, B, remain the same, or C, get colder. I bet you chose C, didn't you? What's wrong? The answer is A, and it's a big problem. A hotter world will probably see more extreme weather, meaning the death rate due to natural disaster will also rise. It will affect food production, and that means that the proportion of people living in extreme poverty will also rise. So, based on just those three small pieces of evidence, the news is mixed. Things have been getting better in terms of poverty and natural disasters, but they could get worse again soon. We can look at a bunch of other measurements. The decreasing number of wars in the world, the average lifespan increasing, pollution is getting worse, but education is getting better. We should also look at equality for women and minority groups. Add all this together and you get a really mixed vision of the world in 2050. And what is even more complicated, while things get better for some people, they may be getting worse for others at the same time. For a long while, people looked at globalization and predicted that it would equalize opportunity for everyone. In their words, it will make the world flatter. But another group of scholars now argues that globalization affects different communities unequally. In other words, the world is actually lumpy or spiky rather than flat. In the article you read today, you will see arguments from both sides. Mapping this data brings us to our word of the day, data. Data is basically just facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. We have to analyze the data to make meaning of it. Sometimes we're wrong, but sometimes we're right. Today I want you to read Is the World Flat or Spiky in Lesson 7.5 on Khan Academy. As you read, think about what kind of evidence might help us determine if the world is becoming more or less equal. After you've read, write about this in your historian's journal. What do you think the world will look like in 2050? How will it be different and similar from today? Are things getting better or worse, and for whom? What can we predict will happen in the future? Think about global equality, climate change, and the economy. What do you think? Take care, and I'll see you in 2050. Thanks for learning with me.